Okay, welcome everyone. My name is Lisa Fager with the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation. I want to welcome everybody today to our protest here, or our Freedom Walk pre-rally here at the National Council of Negro Women. And I am going to get this pre-rally started by introducing the co-conveners, Janice Mathis, the Executive Director of the National Council of Negro Women, and Melanie Campbell, the President and CEO of the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation and convener of the Black Women's Roundtable. Welcome!
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for gathering here today. This is an important moment in the history of our organizations, but more importantly, a turning point, a inflection point for our nation. Shall we go forward as a democracy, or shall we go backward where minority rules? Shall we go forward with majority votes, or shall we go backward? In large measure, it's up to the people at both ends of Pennsylvania Avenue. But more importantly, it's up to us. So I want to welcome all of you. Thank you for your participation and let you know that your voices do make a difference. They hear us in the White House. They hear us in the Capitol. They know that we will not have our voting rights abridged or denied. I would be remiss if I did not thank my sister in this effort, the person who is the convener, the person who is the president of the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation, the person whose brainchild this is, and who has the stamina and determination to take us from week to week and month to month in this most important endeavor. Please allow me and join me in welcoming Melanie Campbell.
Good afternoon yet? What day is it? That's how I'm feeling today. First and foremost, thank you. Thank everybody for coming out. We were a little afraid, Janice, when we were talking about this, whether we should let the weather scare us. But you know, our predecessors and our ancestors had a whole lot more to worry about with a little bit of snow, a little bit of rain, and a little cold weather. Amen. So, sitting here, it didn't come in, like, ain't God good? Say, ain't God good. All the time. And so my sister Janice Mathis, thank you for your leadership, sister. Thank you, Dr. Cole, in her absence. We lift her up as she continues to heal and the legacy and the role that National Council of Negro Women had. Always empowered, and I just thank you. I don't get to say that as often. And she's our jail partner too, so we appreciate you so very much. I'm here to be very, very brief. We are here today again, and the Cora was here. We're here. She said, "Why are we here?" We're here because our voting rights are under attack. We're here because you have states' rights being propagated all over this country to pull us back to pre-1960s, pre-voting rights of 1965. And we're not going to allow it on our watch. Black women came together with our allies, with our brothers, with folks from all walks of life, races, genders, religions, and we are all fighting to make sure that the people we help elect in 2020 do their jobs, our friends and our foes. I'm going to say it again, our friends and our foes.
That's all right.
Because voting rights is not something you can just play around with because you decide that you don't like who's voting for who. So we came out here, I guess 5 months ago now, July. I stopped counting. But I do believe we were trying to figure out, I think this is our 10th action. So we're asking the Senate to give us a Christmas present for those who look up Christmas, or whatever you celebrate in the holiday season. Do your jobs. Give the American people a Christmas present, if you will, and pass voting rights. Right now, they're up there dealing with the debt ceiling. And on my way here, I heard them talking about, Janice, they're going to carve out, change the rule a little bit, the procedure, to make sure that the debt ceiling is taken care of. That's important.
Yeah, but
what's wrong with carving it out before December 25th? And don't you go home without at least making an attempt. So it's now my pleasure to introduce our sister, Dee Marshall, who is the founder of Girls Friends Pray, who's going to open us up with inspiration. Dee, bring it on, sis.
Good afternoon. 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 And good afternoon and welcome everybody. You know the word says in Galatians 6:9, let us not become weary in doing good. You know the word of God says in Galatians 6:9 in the NLT, it says, let us not get tired of doing well. And so for all of you who stand here today, we say it is written that in due season, say due season, and the proper time, say proper time, we will not give up. And so we pray now today, Father, in the name of Jesus, we come before you now, God, because your word says in Galatians 6:9, let us not grow weary in doing well, for in due time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. And so, God, we thank you for a not giving up spirit. We thank you for these leaders here today. We thank you for these generals here today. And we say that it is written. And so we are asking you, God, to honor us in this journey, because the word says in Ephesians 2:10, we are your workmanship, created in Christ Jesus to do good work that you prepared us in advance to do. And so we thank you for the good work that you prepared in advance for us to do. We thank you for the good work that you prepared us in advance to do. We thank you that we do it not by power and not by might, but by your spirit. So we thank you the way you set us up, that it is written that you created us to do good work. And so we thank you for the spirit of not giving up. We stand on Galatians here today. We thank you for each and every one of you who stand today, that your name was written, that you are on assignment. And we thank you for showing up. And God, we ask you to honor our showing up. Cover the leaders, cover the convener, encourage her spirit, refill her cup, so that we pour not from an empty cup, but from our overflow. So we thank you that our overflow will march up this road and go on to the Supreme Court to demand, God, that you meet us where we're going and that you move, and because we believe in miracles today. We thank you for this leadership. We thank you for these women. We thank you for these children. We thank you for men of God. And we love you and we honor you and we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Can we get an amen? Amen. Can I get an amen? Amen. Can I get an amen? Amen. Oh, this is my favorite time of the year, y'all. So I'm excited. I look around and I see all of this festivity. We can fight and have a good time. Can we say, can we fight, Blood Bill? Can we have a fight and have a good time? Let's fight. All right. So we're going to move this pre-rally, freedom rally right along. And today we're going to do something a little different. We have our sister, Michelle, Indie Mom of Comedy, and also is our senior advisor for cultural expressions at the National Coalition and Black Women's Roundtable, who will be our host for this hour to bring our speakers on as we speak up and speak out and do what we need to do to ensure that we get our voting rights Can we say get our voting rights? Get our economic justice. Can we say get our economic justice? Build back better plan. And have a good holiday season. That's right. All right, I'm trying to get the eggnog. Can open up. There you go. Yes.
All right. Can we just thank God for this moment? Can we just thank God for this moment? And watch me multitask as we keep everything sanitary. I'm going to hand the mics and I'm going to moderate. Ain't that all right? That's right. We're going to keep this going. We're excited. We want to just keep this going. We're asking all of our speakers that are coming forth today to come with your strength and your word, but come in 1 to 2 minutes. Can I get some help in here? 1 to 2 minutes so we can get where we have to be and do what we have to do because we're on a mission today. Without more being said, we're going to bring up the Honorable Dr. Shirley Weber, the California Secretary of State. The California Secretary of State. The California Secretary of State. Help us bring her to the microphone.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm really honored to be here today. I've been reading about this rally, and my staff has been on the Zoom calls on Sunday about this rally. And I just said, if we ever get to D.C., we're going to go to the rally. And I'm in a conference right now, supposedly, across town. But I knew I had to come by here. And I wanted to come by here as California Secretary of State, the first African American to ever hold that position in 170 years. And I'm grateful to the governor who appointed me when Mr. Padilla came to the Senate to represent California. And he asked me to basically understand the fact that I already knew, that I'm a person of Hope, Arkansas, whose parents were denied the right to vote. And father left in Arkansas in the middle of the night to avoid the Klan because he was a sharecropper who was not due his wages. But when he came to California, he knew that there were two things we needed to do. We needed to be educated. He needed an education, and so my father saw to that I went through UCLA and got the doctorate and the whole bit. But in addition to that, he knew that meant nothing if we could not vote. That voting was critical to the life of African Americans because he had been denied that. And that if we could not vote to influence the decisions about our lives, it meant almost nothing with regards to the economics or the education we would have, because we would not have political control over our lives. And so my family held voting in our living room. Our house was a polling place at 351 West 45th Street in Los Angeles. And I saw people voting from the time I was in middle school on through college in my mother's living room. And so it becomes important that we understand that we are individuals who have been struggling in this wilderness for equal opportunity and access. Our ancestors have fought to get the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And we're in the process throughout California educating folks what that meant. That didn't give us the right to vote. We had that already. But people were obstructing our right to vote and making it difficult and impossible to vote. And in California, we have made it our mission. We've even enfranchised all of our parolees so that we have almost 90% of every eligible voter in California registered to vote, and had over 84% of them voting in the last election. Our goal is to make it 100%. With the election that we just had, we re-enfranchised 50,000 felons voting, those who are on parole, sent them letters, and they're voting right now. And so we have great turnout. So naturally, people want to restrict that. And so we're fighting to make sure that happens in California. But we know that California is an influencer, and that we're fighting with you across this nation, and we're fighting in Washington here to make sure that our Voting Rights Act is passed. That we are a people determined to make sure that we understand the power of voting. When I taught for 40 years in Africana Studies at San Diego State University, we understood very clearly what the foundation of this nation was, that no taxation without representation. That's what this country was founded on, that people demanded that they have the right to express themselves and to determine who would represent them. You cannot do that if you cannot vote. And so I am here today to let you know I've got to get back to the Congress, but I want you to know that California is with you. Whenever you need us, you call. We have also signed on to every lawsuit across this nation. My office has signed on to every lawsuit as an amicus brief to make sure that they know that the issue of voting rights is a federal issue. It is not an individual issue. It's not a state issue. King fought against this whole issue of states' rights. And we're not going to go backwards. We're going to go forward. and we're going to open up the opportunity to vote for every Californian, every citizen who pays taxes in this nation, and everybody pays taxes, even if you buy some crackers and a soda. You're going to pay some taxes. And so every citizen has the right to vote. We're going to fight for it. We're going to make sure it happens. And as I always tell my folks, they know I'm going to fight till hell freezes over, and then I'm going to put on my ice skates and fight some more. So thank you very much.
Good Dr. Weber knows there's no snow in California, so we thank you. She know ain't no snow coming to California, but we thank you for the idea of snow and how you're willing to fight even if snow comes to California. We're going to keep this moving, and we want you all to get prepared and just take a look around. You'll see that this is intergenerational. You see babies, you see folks from all the way on the West Coast, East Coast, down south, because when black women get together, black women win. Is that all right? Black women and our allies, we win. So we will have coming up next the great council member from Ward B at large, East Point, Georgia, the Honorable Karen Renee. Can we have Karen come up?
Yes, ma'am. No, you're not. My mentor. I love you. Janice Mathis in the house. Georgia is here. Come on, Georgia. Show up today. We are here in the house. Fired up and ready to go. Fired up and ready to go. Come on now. Now let me tell you, as an elected official, I know and I need all of us to understand our residents, our communities are waiting for us to pass back the Better Act, the Better Building Act, and also to end the filibuster, to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. We need this to happen for the state of Georgia. Georgia, when we're united, guess what? We cannot be defeated. Fired up, and ready to go. And Georgia, come on now, let me hear you. Fired up, and ready to go. Thank you.
And she understood the assignment. That was 1 to 2 minutes. Come on, one more time for Council Member Karen Renee. Come on. Georgia is fired up and what? That's all right. So we're going to keep it moving. We are so excited to have with us. One of our chairs, actually the vice chair of the board for the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation. Can you please help me welcome the wonderful, the one and only Diane Babineau.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. As I was standing there, I was just trying to figure out how do I start this off. But let's remember, back in the day, I marched right before the Martin Luther King anniversary was given a holiday. And we used to sing, like with the impressions. People get ready. There's a train coming. Don't need no ticket, just get on with it. And to all the Georgia people, they cut that midnight train on up here. And then we had the delegate, the state person that came all the way from California. This says history, of course, and I don't want the history to stop, y'all. You know what they always say? If you don't do enough, you'll be a part of the menu. Well, I don't want to be a part of the blanket menu. I want to be at the table setting the menu. Amen. So once we get this first piece of pie done, don't stop, y'all. Because believe me, they're up there trying to figure out how we can take us apart. But we come from a long history of we walk by faith and not by sight. So when you march today, I want you to think about all the folks. My grandmother lived to be 106 years old. Wow. Amen. So she voted for Obama, and she said, my work is still not finished. So I want you to think about all that when y'all walk up there today. Don't stop, won't stop. Get on that train. Don't need no ticket. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think we all getting on that train, and I love how Diane said, when y'all walk, I believe you're walking too. Ain't that right, beloved? We're all walking up that hill together. We won't bully you into coming. No, we're not going to bully you into coming. We're going to keep it going. We are so excited because Georgia's definitely outside. Georgia's definitely here. We have the convener of the Clayton County, Georgia's Black Women's Roundtable and director of the HBCU Green Fund. Can you please help me welcome Miss Felicia Davis?
So, Felicia Davis, and since I have only 2 minutes, I wrote it down. So, Clayton County Black Women's Roundtable worked in 2020 before there was a vaccine. Now we got the Omicron or whatever. We are still out there. We are still working. And we work because for us and our community, voting is not just a sacred right, which it is, but it's a moral obligation. And we will not be turned around. And so now we have come here from Georgia every other week since July. When we first came, we were celebrating the 4th of July. Here it is, we getting ready to celebrate Christmas and New Year's, and folks are telling us, wait. And we can't wait. We got work to do back home. We got work to do in 2022. And we're trying to let some folks know, if you expect us to do some work, we expect you to give us some help. So now, but because we're committed and because I'm mentored by the late Dr. Joseph Bowery, I joined the Black Eagle, Joe Madison, in the hunger strike, and I'm a sister that loves to eat. Okay? And I've been without solid food for 2 weeks. And Joe Madison, who's older than me, has been there longer. And we have committed that we are there until you deliver. So I am asking on the strength of Georgia, following California, we want to bring it home in 2022. In order that, you need to do what you need to do. Kill the filibuster, kill it completely as far as I'm concerned. Don't carve out, just get rid of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, dear Sister Felicia. We want you to eat as well. You and Brother Joe Madison, but we thank you for your courage. We thank you for your steadfastness. And we believe that God will feed you soon. Very, very soon. We're going to keep it moving. We are excited to have the president, the president of the NAACP Atlanta branch. Remember, it's Black women and our allies. And the NAACP is certainly a great ally. Please help us welcome Brother Richard Rose to the stage.
It's another great day to speak our voices. The Atlanta NAACP is so happy to be here, joining this fight. But let's get down to the bottom line. The 15th Amendment to the Constitution says the right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be abridged or denied. It doesn't say should not be. Shall not be denied or abridged on account of race, color, or previous condition of service to. So why are we still fighting this battle? Because there are those who want to go back to the days of King George. There are no kings in America. We have a right as citizens of the United States to vote and to not be terrorized. Silence gives consent. We will not be silent. We refuse to be mistreated. We want our voting rights now.
That's all right. That's all right. That's all. We're talking 2 minutes here. They are being obedient and expedient and on topic. Can we just thank the brother Richard Rose again, the president of the NAACP of Atlanta. And without further ado, as we move forward, again, these are Black women leaders and allies. Another one of our great allies that we're bringing up here right now is the co-convener of Power Rising. You know her, you love her. Please help us bring her to the mic, Miss Mignon Moore. Oh, okay. She's here in spirit, I bet you. I believe, God, she's here in spirit, so we send her our love. We're going to keep it moving forward. The co-director of Voting Rights Project, Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law. Please help us welcome Miss Marcia Johnson Blanco.
Good afternoon, everyone. For over 50 years, the Lawyers Committee has joined with our brothers and sisters. Okay. Can you hear me now? Hello? Yes. All right. So for over 50 years, the Lawyers Committee has stood with our brothers and sisters in the civil rights movement for equal justice under the law and for equal rights. And we're here today because our nation is at a crossroads. Our democracy is in crisis. The crisis is being fueled by state legislatures who've responded to robust voter turnout in 2020 by passing suppressive voting laws and are trying to make it harder to vote and are particularly targeting voters of color. Our democracy crisis is also fueled by a Congress that has failed to restore the full protections of the Voting Rights Act. Since 2013, the Supreme Court Shelby County decision, Congress has had a mandate to restore the full protections of the Voting Rights Act, and they have failed in that mandate, and we will continue to stand and march until they do their job. So we're here today to reject the actions of states like Georgia, Texas, Florida, North Carolina, who are not only targeting election laws, but are now passing redistricting maps that are aiming to take away the rights of voters of color to elect their candidates of choice. We're here today because we cannot stand idly by and watch our democracy and our hard-won rights be taken away. These were rights that were won by sacrifice and blood of our ancestors, and so we have to continue demanding that Congress do its job. It must pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. It must pass the Freedom to Vote Act. It must pass the Bill Better Act. We cannot rest until Congress does its job, so we will keep speaking out and we will keep pushing. And the Lawyers Committee will always be standing here with you in this fight. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Can we please just... Thank you so much. We're going to keep this going, and we are so grateful that we have lawyers standing by, because you know, you never know when you need a good attorney. Because when we come to get down. I don't know about nobody else, but we're going to go all the way. So we're going to need you. We're going to make a phone call, and we believe God for bail money. Somebody say bail money? Bail money. All right. We're going to keep this going. We are so excited to have with us the director for the Labor Project for Working Families, Family Values at Work. Please help me welcome Ms. Carol Joyner. Carol Joyner.
Thank you, Michelle, and everybody else. Mel, I see you out there. Janice, all of our friends. 10 rallies ago, it was about 100 degrees. We were sweltering and having to take short stints outside in order to make this message heard loud and clear. Today, we're freezing in D.C., and 6 months have passed, and we're still here saying that we have got to pass national, federal voting rights to protect everybody's right to choose, to maintain our democracy. Build Back Better is a very important law. It includes economic policies. Some we know about, some are buried in there. All of them will make our lives so much better, so much richer, and maintain the policy of all people to thrive in this country, right? The problem is that if we cannot vote, we cannot hold on to those child tax credits that are fueling everyone's pockets right now. If we cannot vote, no matter what it passes, we cannot hold on to paid family and medical leave that is likely to be passed through Build Back Better. If we cannot vote, we cannot address climate mitigation strategies that our planet desperately needs so that we don't end up seeing snow in California. And if we cannot vote, we certainly cannot hold our tax dodgers, corporations and billionaires and millionaires accountable so that they pay their fair share. This is not an issue any longer of what side are you on. The question is, what kind of country do you want to live in? It is time to pass Build Back Better, but more, it is time to make sure every person in this country has the right to vote. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. Peace.
Thank you so much, Carol. Certainly when we fight, we do what? Win. When we fight, we do what? Win. We're going to keep on fighting. We're going to keep this moving as well. Thank you again, Carol, for such poignant remarks to help us really understand how important this matter is. And so we're going to keep this going. We're going to bring up Miss Joy Barnes, who is a home care worker, SEIU Virginia 512. Joy, can you come up here, please, sweetheart?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Can y'all hear me? Hi. Hi, my name is Joy Barnes. My name is Joy Barnes. I'm a proud mother, grandmother, member of SEIU Virginia 512, and a home care worker. I've been providing essential care services to senior people with disabilities for over 30 years. Home care workers play an important role in our country. We are the medical professional on the front line of the COVID pandemic. Many of our patients would not get diagnosed with the illness if we were not there to tell a nurse or a doctor what was going on with them. We advocate for our nation for the most valuable citizens. Many people wouldn't get the service they need if they didn't have home care workers to speak for them. In spite of taking care of this country for generations, I still feel like home care workers are the forgotten workers. Maybe because our service workforce is 86% women, 63% people of color. And I'm here today to tell Congress that home care workers will no longer be forgotten. As a black woman, a voter, and a central home care worker, my vote and my voice count. With our SEIU family, we are demanding that lawmakers on both sides of the aisle respect us. That means passing the John Lewis Voting Act, Advancement Act, Freedom to Vote Act, and DC statehood. These bills are easier to use to vote no matter what state we live in. Right now, there are too many Republican lawmakers around the country trying to pass an anti-voting bill to silence women like me. That's not right. When you don't have a voice, you feel like you have to take whatever you can get. I used to feel like that until I joined my union. And now I have a voice. Together, my union, my family, and our elected leaders are standing with workers and families, winning the benefits of passing sick leave. We won that one. We won that one. We won it in July. It didn't go into effect until last month, but we got our 5-page sick leave. Together with President Biden and home care champions of the Capitol, we are on the verge of passing the Build Back Better Act. With uplifting and lives of millions of home care workers and our families. So many good things are on the horizon. We can't let lawmakers in a state like Georgia take us 2 steps back. Home care workers do not need another attempt to be silenced, oppressed, or excluded from our nation's recovery. It's time to move forward. Congress, today, we can make a change, but you gotta give us a chance to do that. If voting rights are under attack, we can't get anything done. That's why we are demanding and respecting that for who we are to protect our democracy. We must pass the BRAA Freedom Vote and Act in DC statehood. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are so grateful for our home care workers. Can we just thank her once again for sharing? Without further ado, we're going to bring up the president and founder of Transformative Justice, the Transformative Justice Coalition, Miss Barbara Arnwine. Can we have Barbara come up, please?
We know that our role is to get it done. And we're saying to the Senate, we're saying to Biden and the Biden administration, we must get it done in 2021. Stop delaying. No recess until you do your job. It is time that black women who have decided election after election is honored by passing the voting rights legislation that we need to make sure that our voice is heard. So we are saying to everyone, this is the time. There is no other time, because when voting rights are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. When voting rights are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. Get it going. Thank you.
I tell you, I'm getting excited. I'm ready to walk. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to walk. I'm ready to walk. And before we walk, we have one more dynamic sister coming to be with us and share her remarks. Please help me welcome the National Director of Higher Heights for America, Miss LaKella Stemmons.
Good afternoon. I'm LaKella Stemmons, the National Director for Higher Heights, and it's an honor to be here. Sister Melanie Campbell, thank you for your invitation, for your leadership, and for the opportunity to stand with so many dynamic and powerful black women leaders and our allies today to demand that Congress pass the John R. Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, the Freedom to Vote Act, the Build Back Better Act, and the Washington, D.C. Admissions Act, giving the District of Columbia statehood. I would actually be remiss to not even acknowledge the fact that we're standing at the headquarters of the National Council of Negro Women, property owned on Pennsylvania Avenue between the White House and the Capitol, owned by a black person, but more importantly, black women. The right to vote is the cornerstone of our democracy. It is the greatest equalizer we have in this country to cast the right to vote. It's one vote, one person. The attack on voting rights comes down to the mere fact that people will only rob, steal, attempt to bamboozle you when they see something of value and they want to take it from you. We are at a time of urgency and emergency when it comes to voting rights and protecting our democracy, when it comes to the protection of our economy and economic security for all. Voting rights equals economic justice. The John R. Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act and the Freedom to Vote Act are vital to defend our democracy from the assaults that it faces. It is critical to ensure free and fair elections and critical to ensure that we do not allow them to suppress the democracy that black women saved. Our senators have one choice: voting rights or obstruction. The Build Back Better Act is how we rebuild a new, stronger foundation built on equality and justice. If America is unequal, then she is also unjust. Fannie Lou Hamer stated that she was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And in 2021, I think I can say we all agree that black women are sick and tired of being sick and tired of asking for something that already belongs to us. Black women are the defenders of our homes, our community, and our democracy. The right to vote was bought and purchased by the bloodshed of our ancestors. We stand here today on the shoulders of phenomenal women like Ida B. Wells, Mary McLeod Bethune, Dorothy Height, and Higher Heights North Star, Shirley Chisholm, in solidarity with amazing and phenomenal women leaders like Melanie Campbell, Dr. Johnetta B. Cole in her absence, Mrs. Cora Masters Berry, Janice Mathis, and a young phenomenal leader like Ebony Riley. As the conscience of our democracy demanding that economic justice, voting rights, the statehood for the District of Columbia, and yes, the filibuster must go. I stand here today in the gap in the absence of my president and CEO, Glenda Carr from Higher Heights. We are the political home for Black women, and we are grateful for the opportunity to be here. And Sister Melanie, God bless you. Thank you for the opportunity, and we will fight until we can't fight anymore.
And so we just want to thank everyone, all of our allies, all of these amazing Black women who will be walking with us for freedom, not just today, but to ensure for our children's children's children. We are so grateful to be here. So without further ado, as we make our way, we're going to bring back up Sister Melanie Campbell and Sister Janice Mathis to give us direction.
When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. So thank you to our sister Michelle. Can we give her an awesome hand? And if you're in New York, a lot. Right? Where you in New York? I know you have some plug, but give
So just a shameless plug, I am a working stand-up comic, but you need every artist and every leader to work together to make this thing happen. But if you're in New York, come and see me at Acoustic Comedy every month in Manhattan in the East Village.
All right, my sister Janice, any closing words before we move? And then Tyrese, come up, give us a closing prayer.
Just very briefly, I want to thank all of the speakers who thought it not robbery to assemble with us once again today, month after month, week after week. I saw somebody from Georgia I hadn't seen in a long time, Karen Renee, told me at that point she wanted to be an elected official, and now, praise God, she is an elected official. I want to thank all of our NCNW members. Susie Johnson is here from right here in D.C. Audrey Benz is here somewhere, drove all night from Georgia to be here with us. A friend, beloved, and brought a car full with her. I want to thank all of them for that. This is the home for Black women's activism. This is what Dorothy intended for it to be. And as long as Dr. Cole and I are breathing and living in reasonably good health, that's what it's going to be. Thank you. It is our honor and privilege to have you here today.
We're just going to say a closing prayer real fast. Let us pray. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, God who has brought us a mighty long way. God, we thank you for today. We thank you for those who are gathered today. We ask, God, that you'll bless us as we go in March to make our voices heard in this moment for the things that we know we deserve in this moment. And though we may be disappointed in this season, allow us to never lose infinite hope. Allow us to hold on to hope and faith that we can achieve what we collectively come together to achieve. God, give us eyes to see and ears to hear what your spirit is working on in this moment. May we all feel called to action, and may we commit ourselves and recommit ourselves to joining together for acts of justice. And may we follow the steps of our sheroes and heroes whose names were called and uncalled, by their teachings and their preachings, by their actions and examples, by their marching, their demonstrating, their strategizing and organizing, that we can do the work in this moment and on this day. And it is in your name that we pray. Amen.
Amen. Y'all ready? Yes. All right, we lined up. Where's our leader on getting us lined up? Come on up, sister.
All right, y'all ready to march? Yes. I said, y'all ready to march? Yes. What do we want? Yes. We want vote.
Shut it down! Shut it down!
We're gonna stop right
Shut it down! Shut it down! Don't get it! Shut it down! Shut it down! What do we want?
What
What do we want?
the Black Women Roundtable, NCNW, SEIU, marching towards the Supreme Court demanding voting rights, economic justice, on a freedom right to call up, on a freedom walk to call upon the Senate to do the right thing and pass federal voting rights at a national level.
The Congress is saying that we're saying to the Congress they cannot go on vacation, they cannot go on Christmas break. We cannot go into the next year without passing substantial voting rights legislation, passing the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, passing D.C. statehood. We want to ensure that our voices are heard in this moment, and voting rights is just as important as infrastructure. If we can pass infrastructure, we can also pass voting rights as well.
I can't agree with you more. Are you from D.C.? Where are you from?
I'm based here in Washington, D.C., yes.
Yeah, it's crazy that you can't vote.
Say it one time.
I said it's wild that you can't vote.
Yeah, we see pieces of legislation all across the country. I think that's a clear sign that voting should be important. We see over close to 500 bills in state houses and senates that's trying to restrict the right to vote. So that's why it's needed for Congress now in this moment to pass federal voting legislation that oversees what a lot of these state houses are doing. And so that's why we continue to push for
It's wild. I mean, 40 states passing voting restriction laws.
Yes, 40 states. And I think that speaks to the moment of our power. We saw in the 2020 election how folks have come out in record numbers across the board. And so I think they saw our power in that moment, and that's why they continue. We continue to see, in particular, the GOP trying to hold back from being able to vote and pass voting rights forward. Yet we can have John Lewis, be lying in state in the U.S. Capitol. Everybody say how good of a man John Lewis was and commending who he was as a man, but yet what he stood for was voting rights. But yet here we are when it's time to vote on the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. Where are these leaders at now?
Great question. I mean, it's Democrats. We have Senator Joe Manchin is probably single-handedly killed the For the People Act this summer.
He did, and I mean that makes it very questionable of who he really is as a leader. We can't have nobody who's twisting in the middle. You have to stand strong on what you stand on. And I believe that the voters in West Virginia see a clear message from Joe Manchin and both Senator Sinema, of where they stand at. And I think history will look back at this moment. And I believe here we are in this moment. Our children's children will read about this moment. And the question is, what do we do? And my name is Tyleek McMillan. I'm the National Youth Director for National Action Network.
Awesome. Where can people find you on social media?
At Tyleek McMillan, all platforms. TYLIK MCMILLAN.
Thank you for talking with us. So we are marching up towards the Capitol and to the Supreme Court. People are planning to get arrested today for voting rights to honor John Lewis's living legacy and try to make sure that before the year ends, we pass the Freedom to Vote Act and John Lewis Voting Rights Act.
Everybody stop. Everybody stop for a moment. Everybody stop for a moment.
The people united will never be defeated. You said the people united will never be defeated. I said the people united will never be defeated. I said the people united will never be defeated. I said the people united will never be defeated. I said the people united will never be defeated. I said the people united will never be defeated. I said the people united will never be defeated. We're all right, so under attack. What do we do? Stand up like that. We're all right, so under attack. What do we do? Stand up like that. We're all right, so under attack. What do we do? Stand up like that. What do we do? Stand up like that. What do we do? Stand up like that. We're all right, so under attack. What do we do? Stand up like that. We're all right, so under attack. What do we do? Stand up like that. We're all right, so under attack. What do we do? Stand up like that. What do we do? Stand up like that. What do we do? Stand up like that. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey.
I like your sign.
Thank you very much. It matches my hat.
I love it.
Yes.
Dear Senate, don't be a Grinch. Pass voting rights. I love it.
Look, if they can't do it, I'm not eating. I'm starving for voting rights. I'm marching for voting rights. I'm praying for voting rights. Can I get voting rights? I mean, really, Build Back Better is a great thing, but voting? Who is not for representation with, you know, if you're going to tax me and then I can't vote, and then I'm in Georgia, do you know how many years we have marched and struggled in Georgia to be able to vote?
Well, so you're from Georgia.
I'm from Georgia. I'm from Clayton County.
Oh, wow.
I'm New York Times front page over the top with Joe. But I do nonpartisan work. We literally worked during COVID, door to door, every opportunity, no vaccine. We did that. And election day, somebody went over. We then worked in a runoff. I'm nonpartisan. When did we win? January 5th. Who even remembers January 5th? Because I went to bed dead tired, getting up, and I was ready to brag. And people were climbing on the Capitol. And ever since that day, they have been working to undo what was done. And guess what? Whatever people think, America is changing. We've got women, we've got black, brown, we've got indigenous. We can all get along. White, we get along. It's a small group of Q-related people that are seizing power from all of us. So what we're doing, this is not for Black America. This is not for immigrants. This is just as much for poor working white people, for working people everywhere, for anybody that believes in majority rule, no taxation without representation, and that we all have a right to vote. That's why we're marching. That's why I'm here in December when I live in Georgia.
Because it is cold out here, so thank you for being here.
Thank you. And your name?
Jocelyn. What's your name?
Felicia Davis. And it's
so nice to meet you.
Yes.
I love that you bring that up, though, because a lot of these voting restrictions, shutting down polling places, making people wait in line for hours, these will hurt a lot of working class people of all races.
Well, people say, like, crazy things. Oh, well, if you can't pass out water, what's the big deal? Well, in Georgia, during the primary, it's over 100 degrees. So if a bottle of water doesn't get anybody to come to the polls to vote. A bottle of water keeps somebody who can't take it any longer. It hydrates them. It is a medical, humane thing to do. So that is like denying bathrooms. And then, if you do that, reduce the number of machines, make the line longer in the sun, that is suppression. And it's even worse when you look across town, same temperature, but you got a bank of machines, you're in and out, you don't even sweat. That's a problem. And people, that's the kind of thing that gets us representation that's just, in my opinion, crazy. So, and we can't handle more crazy. And I don't think, because we've been privileged in America to be like the leading democracy and we believe our own hype, we have lost the sense of how fragile it is and the responsibility of every generation to earn it again. So I'm out here because I couldn't imagine anybody that we've ever had for president to be president for life like the Supreme Court. I'm like, no. So if we believe in elections, and if there was any fraud, show me.
Well, and they can't find any. You know, voting rights, democracy officials, people who are not partisan by any stretch of the imagination have overwhelmingly showed there isn't any of the voting fraud in America that Republicans are using to justify these restrictions.
So as much as I work, I would say I lean more to the left than the right. However, I'm in Georgia, so I care about my neighbors, some of whom even might still even have a Confederate license plate or whatever. It doesn't mean I love them too. So I'm deeply concerned that they think things like a vaccine or wearing a mask. It's like, well, I don't want to be infected and die, but I don't want them either. Their children, their grandparents. So when you get a time when it is really dystopian, when the truth is a lie and the lie is the truth, it's deadly. So I feel for those communities, and I march hoping that they will say, wait a minute, we believe in democracy. You know, and then if they take that step, they'll say, wait a minute, we might believe in science. Yes, it's like, I don't know, if you're sick, you're going to start believing in medicine.
Well, and I love that you bring up how tragic that is, because there have been all these really sad cases of people who are dying of COVID saying on their deathbed, I regret it, I wish I'd worn a mask, I wish I'd gotten vaccinated.
Look, everybody knows the joke about the man that was drowning in the ocean, and, you know, somebody came with a rap, and he said, no, I'm waiting, God's going to save me. And then they came with a boat, no, God's going to save me. And he drowned. For all those people with deep and abiding faith It's an abomination before their God. It's an abomination. It is a blessing that we have a vaccine. It is the people in 1920, they had enough sense to wear a mask. You know, don't look at the flu pandemic. People put masks on. Look at any place that is toxic. People cover their face. So to say that somehow you're invading anybody's personal right is foolishness. And I just want them to wake up to the extent of which they've been indoctrinated.
Oh, we're right in front of the Capitol right now. Okay, if Joe Biden were here right now, what would you tell him?
Wake up, Joe. It's like, look, we're not looking for compromise. You are in office. It's time for you to get busy and do most important things first. Build back better, that's 2. Voting rights is number 1, and you've got it confused whether you plan to do anything in the future or not. My ability to address climate change, which is an existential threat to humanity, depends on my ability to vote. And not to get that, and you're going to have a democracy summit? Really? You need to deal with the democracy right here, right in front of your door, and kill the filibuster.
Well, I love that you bring that up. So for those who don't know, there's an International Democracy Summit tomorrow and Friday where Joe Biden is going to be meeting with world leaders about the state of their democracy. And it's sort of ironic that he's doing that when we can't pass the Freedom to Vote Act or the John Lewis Voting Rights Act.
Look, I'm so over it. I went to Scotland for the climate conference, and he didn't have that done, right? He didn't have it passed, and we're still traipsing off to the climate conference. Now he's going to have a democracy summit, but hasn't passed the Voting Rights Act. I was like, we don't need theatrics. We, we are so over that. This is serious business, and it does not work to have a conversation in sound bites. He has to do the hard work of leadership, and that means...
Stay there.
That means I don't want to hear about Joe Manchin and cinema, whatever. He is supposed to be the leader. He is the president, not of the Democrats. He's the president of the United States of America. And if you're going to host a democracy summit, you need to step to the table saying that whatever it takes, if it means we have to kill the filibuster, whatever needs to happen, I want to hear that in the next 2 days. What are you going to do to pass voting rights in the United States of America? Because in Georgia, my voting rights are compromised.
Yes. Oh man, we're passing the Capitol right now. It really does. I mean, it's wild because Joe Biden, right after he won, thanked Georgia organizers and black organizers and said the black communities had my back. I will have their back.
Look, in the middle of the night, Clayton County put Joe Biden over the top. All right? And then we had a runoff. And Raphael Warnock gave one group the majority. That's Georgia. That is we had to work like this. But I tell you, with the suppression and the rollbacks, I don't think anybody sitting in Washington really can appreciate what it means for us in the South. It means fighting decades for victories, and then they just overnight they're gone. And then,
I mean, I got 15 minutes. What time is it now?
If they don't like the outcome, they'll just change it. I'm like, and then that will suppress all votes. Who needs to bother? It's like, oh, the legislature's going to pick anyway. You know, people are not too engaged with the Congress. Because what? They do nothing. So it is overdue. I don't know what kind of leadership. It's like, don't expect, forget about Ukraine. You're not going to send any young people anywhere, and we can't vote right here.
Right. That's a very valid point. So are you getting arrested today?
No. I've been arrested. I did bring $50 cash because I'm always subject to get overly enthusiastic with an opportunity to make a point. However, you know, I'm working. I mean, really.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You're here. That's good.
This is number one for me, but I work on climate change, and we really have to.
Thank you for speaking with us.
Thank you.
Put your hands up. Fist up. Okay? So stop, because when you're going to get up here on the hill, it's narrow. And we can't have 10 deep, because it's not going to be able to get through. We together? All right, so let's get this thing together. Yeah. Come on. Janice! Okay, all right. Yes, we're walking and talking. In a second.
Take your time.
We ready? Fast. In the filibuster. We together? And we'll stop at the end.
All right. Y'all need some living.
I'm okay. Let's go. All right. Ready, y'all?
Thank you for...
What do we want? When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Voting rights.
When do we want it?
Now.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
What do we want?
Voting rights.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Voting rights.
When do we want it?
Now. If we don't get it, shut it down. 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 I said if we don't get it, shut it down. All right, y'all. We ready. Yeah. We ready. Come on. We ready. Come on. Oh, yeah. Say what? We ready. Come on. We ready. Come on. We ready. Yeah. Say what? We ready. Come on. We ready.
So, you've been out here all year. Are you sick of it?
Oh, never.
Well, you know what I mean. Congress not doing their job.
Yeah, it's challenging, but what does that have to do? We have to fight. We have to win. So we're going to stay out here, go in, meet with the White House, which we did the other day. We're going to be challenging and meeting with our senators, and the House has done its job, and the Senate needs to do its job. If they can carve out to deal with that debt ceiling today, then they can carve out and deal with voting rights.
Absolutely.
Okay? Because at the end of the day, what are we talking about? We're talking about our democracy. And we know it's under attack. So our generation, whatever generation, age that you're in as a leader, if power is more important for you individually than the people of America, you don't need to be in the job. So let's do the job. That's all we ask.
Well, and Joe Biden has said that he supports you and all of us on this issue. So where is he?
Well, he needs to do more, and we've said it. And use everything at his disposal, just like they're doing. We help fight for an infrastructure bill. We're fighting for the Build Back Better bill. But nothing's more fundamental than the right to vote. It's all connected.
Well, so heaven forbid the Freedom to Vote Act and those Voting Rights Act don't get passed. What's next?
Oh, we'll say that again? No. Oh, sister, there's no such thing. We're not stopping until we win. It's the idea that we would lay down when our ancestors, our predecessors died for it, there's no way. So look, cold weather, we're going to be out here. We're out here in the heat, and we'll be out here and inside and outside. But at the end of the day, our elected officials were elected to lead and serve the people. And there, again, I say, nothing more fundamental than the right to vote.
And for people watching, you don't realize we have powerful women from all over America here. So, what after today? What's next for you guys?
After this, well, we're going to keep pushing for the other issues that are important to us. We want Build Back Better. It's simultaneous. We're walking and chewing gum at the same time. Again, the elected officials can do the same thing. We want Build Back Better. We want to make sure that it stays a strong bill. We want paid family leave in that bill. We want all of that because here we are still in the middle of a pandemic. It's not even gone down to an epidemic. And so we learned from that. We should have learned. Our leaders should have learned that it's not like you're doing just a carve out for people. You're dealing with the fact that we need to take care of the American people. Paid leave is fundamental to that. It's one of the core things we want to see stay in that bill.
Absolutely. I love that you link voting rights and economic justice in this action because you're right. They're same thing. How can people help? How can people support?
Hey, go to blackwomentake.action.org. Sign up and join us.
Thank you so much for speaking.
All right.
We from Georgia. We sent Biden to the White House, and we sent a new Senate. And we have received what from them? Nothing. Our voting rights on the brink. SB 202. We saw black women brutalized in the Georgia state capitol. So why does Georgia have to come up here? We have to come up here to send a message. We want our voting rights. So don't quote John without giving us our voting rights. It's time to pass the John Lewis voting advancement right now. What do we want? When do we want it? Now. What do we want? When do we want it? Now. And if we don't get it, if we don't get it, if we don't get it, shut it down. If we
Hold on, please. Hold on. People get ready.
So, hello. What brings you out here today?
So I'm from Georgia. We've been fighting down the ground in Georgia for bills and acts and rights that have just been coming towards us to suppress our votes. But the bad thing about it is that it's being supported or not being supported as far as on our rights on the national end. We're here in Georgia. We're here from Georgia and D.C. saying that we need to build back better acts. We need John Lewis Voting Rights Act passed. These are things that are going to really show true democracy. If we're progressing as a country, we can't do that with backhanded and backside bills in there. So we need everybody to, in the filibuster, we need them to really work for the people.
Well, and the filibuster is very central to this because we technically have the votes now if it were a simple majority, and I don't think people get that.
Yes. I think it's a matter of, let's not stall. Let's not create something that we already know that it's here. It's done. Why are we putting a lid on something that's done? The lid needs to be, we need to unveil, take the veil off. We need to really show what happens because things like the filibuster proves that even when we vote for what's right or when we do something that's right, there's still something that's going to come that's going to avoid that from happening. And so if that's happening on a legislative end, just imagine how people that hold no office or just voting citizens feel. That proves to them their voting doesn't really matter. And so if we want to prove that voting works, we need to end that filibuster because it works. It worked in the House. It worked in the Senate. Let's pass it.
Well, and you're a Georgia organizer. You guys have been killing it, and for the entire country, that has to be exhausting.
It's very exhausting. It's exhausting because we've been doing this since before January. But the sad thing about it was in January when we broke records and had people turn the state. Weeks later, or not even weeks later, we got hit with a bill that was literally. It just negated everything that we just did. We worked for. And as an organizer, it kind of deflated me, but it gave me some type of tenacity to keep going. Because if we didn't have a powerful vote or if people weren't doing what they were right and going out to actually exercise their votes, which people try to say, oh no, people aren't voting anyway. Their votes don't matter, so they're not voting. We prove to you that they do believe that their votes matter and they are getting out. And when we do that, that's when you want to say, okay, you're doing it a little too well, or you're voting a little too much. Let's stop them from voting.
I love that you bring that up because that is what's happening, right? This isn't a response to people not voting. It's a response to people being too organized and too engaged.
Yeah, exactly. It is a direct response of something that we saw as positive, something that we saw that, I think historically people try to have the narrative that people choose to not do. It's not that people choose to not do. It's that when they do, they get told that they can't. And so when you tell somebody that they can't do something and you really show them that they can't and you don't count what they did, so that's what's going to happen. So we need true, like we have no taxation without representation. We need true representation, and the representation proves true when people vote.
So I've been asking a couple people this. If Joe Biden were here right now, what would you tell him?
Get more aggressive. Be aggressive. You have a bully pulpit. Use it in the filibuster. There's some things that we just need to be aggressive about.
It's wild because Democrats have self-interest in this. You would think if they want to keep their jobs, people have to be able to vote for them.
Yeah, for me, I just think it's just so, we see, I think, an overarching good goal and good deeds being done. So you got like the industrial, our industrial bill that's been passed and everything, being able to get better infrastructure. We've seen what happened with our troops. But what about the people that are here in our country? And you want to show that we actually, that you care and that we really truly care about our people and our citizens and not just overarching what looks good. Give them what they need, not what they want. What they need is Build Back Better. John Lewis Act.
Well, how can people get involved and find you and support your work and all that?
Yeah, I think being involved is also, one, vote. And not only vote for presidential elections, vote in the municipal elections, but then also we are part of this wonderful table, the National Coalition of Black Civic Participation and Black Women's Roundtable. But if you specifically want to get involved in Georgia, visit us at georgiastandup.org or on social media at GA_standup. That's on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And we're happy to have people volunteer, phone bank, text bank. We're always working.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Oh, no. You were great. So we are getting closer and closer to the Supreme Court, where a lot of these incredible leaders are going to be peacefully arrested, calling upon Congress and the Senate to do their jobs. We only have a few weeks left in the year, and we have been trying all year to get various voting rights legislation passed through the House and the Senate. For the People Act, Freedom to Vote Act, John Lewis Voting Rights Act, and we only have a few weeks left before 2022. Come down. Sorry. So, thank you for being here today.
You're welcome. Thank you for you being here today.
Do you want to introduce yourself? You're with the SEIU.
Yes, my name is Karen, and I've been with the SEIU for 11 years, taking care of my grandson, and we just want better pay, better rights, and equal rights.
So today, for people who are just joining us on the Freedom Walk, we're marching for voting rights and economic rights.
Right.
What is the link there, do you see?
I don't see it. It's not fair. It's very not fair. And we just want to make it better all the way around for the work that we do and for the love and care that we put in. It should be, it should match the pay grade, and it should match a lot of other things that are not happening. And that's what we're marching for today, to see that we get these things that we deserve.
So are you from D.C.?
I'm from Virginia.
Okay, all right, awesome. And how long have you been a member of the SEIU?
For 11 years.
Okay, yeah. And this is not, I feel, personally, I feel like voting rights isn't something we should even have to march for at this point.
That's true. That's true. That's very true. I agree with you. But as you can see, it is. So I wish we would have came out in more numbers, but hey, this crowd is enough, and I hope we get the message across, and I hope and pray that we can get something done about it, and soon.
We only have a few weeks left in the year. Congress needs to do their job.
Yes, Congress needs to do their job. Get up off your hindies and get to work. Do work like we work. If they work like we work, they would really say, okay, yeah, these people need what they're marching for.
Right.
They really would. Because, and then with the coronavirus and stuff, we take hazards with our clients and things of that nature, and we want to take the best care of them. And, we need what we come out here for and what we're marching in the cold for.
It is cold.
And I deserve it. It's not cold to me, but it's worth it. Yeah. It's worth it.
Are you going to be getting arrested today?
Excuse me?
Are you going to be getting arrested today?
Am I going to?
Getting arrested at the Supreme Court.
Oh, no, I try not to do that.
Fair enough.
Yes.
Where can people find you? Do you have social media or anything you want to share?
No, I don't have a social media or anything. I'm just old school. And
I'm here marching.
Yeah.
That's the best way to do it, I think.
Yes.
Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for choosing me. Y'all stay blessed and keep doing a wonderful job.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we are now literally within eyesight of the Supreme Court.
The filibuster's got to go. Ho, ho, the filibuster's got to go. Ho, ho, the filibuster's got to go. Ho, ho, the filibuster's got to go. Build back better. 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 Mic check, mic check, mic check.
We got 5 minutes. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go, y'all. Let's go. 5 minutes. Come on. Come on, y'all. In the filibuster. 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 Now. In the filibuster 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 now. In the filibuster. Hey, hey, ho, ho. That filibuster, it got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. That filibuster, it got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. That filibuster, it got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. That filibuster, it got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. That filibuster, it got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. That filibuster, it got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. That filibuster, it got to go. We say hey, hey, ho, ho. That filibuster, it got to go. I say hey, hey, ho, ho. That filibuster, it got to go. I say hey, hey, ho, ho. That filibuster, it got to go. Hey, filibuster. In filibuster now! In filibuster! 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 We're all votes are under attack. What do we do? We're all votes are under attack. What do we do? We're all votes are under attack. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? When black votes are under attack, what do we do? When black votes are under attack, what do we do? When black votes are under attack, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Black voters matter. 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 Our voters matter. Okay. What do we want? Voting rights. Now. What do we want? Voters' rights. Now. Voters' rights. Now. Voters' rights. Now. If we don't get it, shut down. Watch your step. Watch your step. Watch your step. If we don't get it, shut it down. If we don't get it, shut it down. Shut it down. If we don't get it, shut it down. If we don't get it, shut it down. Shut it down.
I'm sorry to see you out here today, but we're glad you're out here with us today. We are trying to end this filibuster. We're trying to get the Build Back Better passed, and we're trying to pass the Voting Rights Act, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. So we're here with the delegation from Georgia saying that we're not going to take it anymore, that we're here to make change, that we wanted our elected officials to be elected, and we did that. And now it's time to do what we need them to do. We need them to pass the Build Back Better. We need them to pass the Voting Rights Act right now. This is enough. Enough is enough. We elected you last November, and here it is almost a full year. We have an agenda that we sent you here to make sure you took care of, and now it's time for that to happen. So we need to pass Build Back Better right now, and we need the Voting Rights Act to pass right now.
So how can people get involved and help support you guys? Because all of you have been traveling around doing all of this on your own.
So all the organizations, we are a Black Women's Roundtable working together with our allies so they can join us with National Coalition of Black Civic Participation and Black Women's Roundtable. Our organization is Georgia Stand Up, and we welcome allies, friends, and folks who want to get on the front line because we can't take this anymore. It is time for our democracy to be in place. This is time for us to do what we have to do, which is to build back better and to pass the Voting Rights Act.
Well, so Joe Biden has a democracy summit this week, which is so funny to me. I mean, why can't we handle this in our own country first?
I really think we should, and I think that we got to put pressure on them. So the more pressure we put on them, the more we're going to get action. So this is called pressure. This is pressure from within. We love our president and our vice president, but we expect them to be accountable to the agenda that we sent them here to accomplish. So Build Back Better is necessary, and voting rights are necessary right now. So we don't believe in the hypocrisy of saying one thing when you're out of the country or when you're at a summit and not doing it in our country. So we want to make sure all of our elected officials know that they have an agenda, we have an agenda, and we expect them to pass this.
Amen. Couldn't agree more. Thank you for talking to us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We're now headed towards the Supreme Court.
I said we fired up and we ready to go.
Check, check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Oh, you got it. Oh, you got it. Okay. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Voting rights. When do we want it? Now. We don't get it. Shut it down. If we don't get it, 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 shut it down. I said if we don't get it, shut it down. I said if we don't get it, shut it down. We're gonna shut it down. We need something
Okay, I'm good. Are you ready? Yep. Okay. Okay.
For those still in the back, please. Thank you.
Good afternoon, my brothers and sisters in the fight. My name is Tanya Tyson, and I'm the Vice President of Operations and Event Management of the National Coalition on Black Civics Participation. They say the movement is only as good as its leaders. And today, we're here as the people. We're here as the people, and I would like to introduce today 2 amazing black women leaders. These black women who said enough is enough when the Senate did not take a vote for the Civil Rights Bill. They said enough is enough when the women's choice was under attack in Texas, and now demanding economic justice by passing Building Back Better. My leaders, our leaders, Melanie Campbell, President and CEO of the National Coalition on Black Civics Participation and the convener of Black Women's Roundtable, and Janice Mathis, Executive Director of the National Council of Negro Women. Without further ado.
Thank you, Tanya. Can we give our sister Tanya Tyson an awesome round of applause? God brought her into my life. People bring people to your life, Reverend. Right? About 11 years ago now? You getting old, girl. So I thank her. I thank God for bringing her to be my partner along with Josh and the other team. But Tanya really runs the office. We run the office back here. And she is tireless. And I thank her every day. And I thank God for you, my sister. So here we are. Thank you, my sister Janice Mathis, National Council of Negro Women, for partnering with us. And in absence, Dr. Janetta Besh-Cole, chairwoman and president of the National Council of Negro Women. We know you watching, so we're going to just wave at Dr. Cole. We hear Dr. Cole. We know you here with us, and we are continuing the fight. I said 5 months, but it's been 6 months now that we, Black women leaders and allies, have been out here on Capitol Hill demanding that Congress does the right thing by passing legislation to protect our voting rights and invest in the people of this nation. We're still here because our voting rights and our economic justice are on the line. Can we say they're on the line? They're on the line. Our rights, our dignity, it's all on the chopping block. And we're here, as Tanya said and many others today, enough is enough. Can we say enough is enough? We're here to demand that Congress pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Restoration Act. We're here to demand that Congress pass Build Back Better with, what in it, Carol Joyner? Paid family leave in it. We're here to demand that Congress pass the Freedom to Vote Act. The election is really here, 2022. And we were here a few weeks ago, and one of our brothers, I think it was Mark, and we talked about the historical nature of why we keep coming back. That building behind us, they're not doing their job. And although they're not elected, they are appointed. So they really work for the people. And they could do better. They must do better. We're here. D.C. statehood in the house. It's so way past time. It's enough. It's enough. Last month, the Senate attempted to advance the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. And I'm not being partisan, just factual. That the Senate Republicans, you couldn't get 10 of them. Well, you got one. You got one to just discuss it. And I think that was Murkowski, Alaska, who voted to just try to have a discussion. They're over there now, right, dealing with the debt ceiling. And I heard on our way here this morning that they were going to figure out a way to get the debt ceiling taken care of. And yes, it needs to be. And they're going to carve out and change the rules. Because a lot of people don't know what filibuster really is. It's just the rules, y'all, that are watching out there. It's just the rules, how you pass a bill and get it into law. It is not in the Constitution. Somebody put it there because they didn't want us to have civil rights. Some old line Republicans, maybe it was the Democrats back then. I'm not that old, not quite that old. Okay. So we're here. We want the Congress, the senators that are over there who have the power to do the right thing, to give the American people Christmas present for those who celebrate Christmas or whatever you celebrate during this holiday season. Don't be a Grinch that stole voting rights. Don't be a Grinch that didn't take care of the people who were in need and pass Build Back Better. Do the right thing. One of the people who is helping us to fight that fight is here with us from the great state of New Jersey. And so I know she has to come, and then after her, my sister Janice will bring her remarks, and we will move the program along. So, Sister Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman from New Jersey. Oh, okay. She is from New Jersey 12th District. She co-chairs Black Women and Girls Caucus and so much, much more. And I know we promised her she's going to get in here because they're in there fighting the fight. We out here in the streets. They in those halls. And we thank you for taking some time to come talk with us today.
So I'm here because you're here. I'm here because we have got a voice. That voice counts. Every time there's an election, we show up. They acknowledge that voice then, and now we need everybody to acknowledge this voice consistently, persistently, and we need substantive legislation passed that makes life better for all of us. So I'm here with Melanie and all these sisters who've been out here more than once. They've been out here for voting rights. They've been out here for civil rights. They've been out here for women's rights. They've been out here for human rights. And we need every one of those rights for everybody in this country. Remind us who we are. But you know what? We also need to be part of this Build Back Better agenda that President Biden has with great vision, has advanced. So why do we need this Build Back Better? And why did the Democrats in the House of Representatives overwhelmingly pass this Build Back Better? Because it addresses the economic, educational, and well-being of our communities. It deals with our families from the womb to the tomb. Whether or not you're a woman who needs your child to go to daycare, or you're a pregnant woman who needs additional research done and resources given to you and your infant so that we don't continue to have the disparities in maternal and infant mortality and morbidity, whether or not it's because you need our children to have access to early education, or whether or not you need our families to have the benefit of tax credits for their children that lifts our children out of poverty. If you want to do the right thing, then you go to where the need is. And in this Build Back Better agenda that we passed in the House of Representatives that is now being debated and hopefully passed in the Senate, it will if you keep your voice up, because the Senate needs to know that it has accountability as well. But what does this bill do? It extends health care benefits. It extends education and higher education. It takes care of our environment, and it invests in our communities, which have been redlined, marginalized, and under-resourced for generations. It makes sure that we're a part of the economic well-being and the building, whether it's the jobs or the resources that come to us. There's no escaping me that this Build Back Better moment is our FDR transformational moment without leaving blacks or any minorities out. There'll be no signs that say blacks need not apply, because President Biden has even admitted that they will allocate additional set-aside resources to underserved communities. Now, our job is to keep the melody going. Yes. Our job is to stand up wherever we are and make sure that our voice is heard. Yep. We have the President of the United States of America, Joe Biden, because of the folks that look like you and look like me. We have a Democratic majority in the Senate because of folks that look like me and look like you. Come on, Georgia. Come on, Georgia. And we have the majority in the House of Representatives, and I need you to hold us all accountable, because individually, we may not mean much to them. But collectively, when we come together and we march and we speak and we reach out and we promise you what we'll do with you and for you, or what we won't do if you don't listen, then I'm telling you, we're a voice that will be reckoned with. God bless you for being here. God bless all of you for being here all the time. And thank you, Melanie Campbell, for convening this. Thank you to my sister from New Jersey, Dee Marshall. And God bless all of you. Have a happy, healthy holiday season and prosperity in 2022. Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay. Can we give our Congresswoman, Bonnie Watson Coleman, our love and thank you so much for the fight. Go and we know y'all in the fight, so I turn it over now to my sister Janice Mathis, Executive Director of the National Council of Negro Women.
Thank you, Melanie. I want to thank Congresswoman Coleman for coming over. She didn't have to do that, but she did, because it was important. And, you know, we've been inspired already today, so I'm not going to try to preach. I want to try to teach just a little bit. Just a little bit. What are we marching for? You know, we said this is what democracy looks like. I want to give you a few points about what discrimination looks like. When you got a history of official voting-related discrimination in your state, that's what discrimination looks like. If you like, my state of South Carolina had an all-white primary until 1948. Black folk effectively couldn't vote until 1965. That's what discrimination looks like. If you got a history of racially polarized voting in your state, black folk vote together, white folk vote together, white folk won't vote for black folk scared to vote for white. That's what discrimination looks like. That's what anti-democracy looks like when you have racially polarized. Now, I didn't make these up. These came out of an opinion that came out of that building behind me. This is what the totality of the circumstances looks like to the Supreme Court. Another one is they have voting practices like voter ID and proof of citizenship that keep minority group members from fully participating in the political process. That's how you know you're not in a democratic state. I don't mean democratic with a big D. I mean democratic with a little d, where majority votes win, majority rule. You know you're in a state that doesn't recognize your votes when you see the effects of discrimination. Catch this one now. In education, in health care, if your people are lagging in wages and equal pay and paid family leave, if you're always at the bottom of the stack, that's a clue that you're not living in a place where democracy is being practiced. That's what discrimination looks like. If you hear overt, like we heard in Alabama, or like we heard in the presidential, overt or subtle appeals to race. Now, this comes from the Supreme Court. If you got people appealing to race and racists in your state, then you know that you're not in a place where democracy is flourishing. I'm almost done. If you have members of a minority group who've been trying, they're talented, they raise the money, they follow the rules, but they can't get elected in their jurisdiction, despite the fact that they're qualified and have met all the rules, then you might be in a state that doesn't recognize minority voting rights. I want you to be able to recognize it because we all know it. We know why we're fired up. But the folk who are watching on television and the folk who see this on social media, what are they upset about? Ain't nothing wrong with my state. But if you see polarized votings and minority group members who can't get elected and procedures being used that don't say you can't vote if you're black. They say you can't vote if you don't have the right kind of ID. And we know who doesn't have the right kind of ID. So it's an in block, a roundabout way to exclude you from the process. That's what anti-democracy looks like. Thank you all. And look, who am I introducing? My dear friend Anshiro, the real champion of voting rights in Alabama. She heard me mention Alabama. She's one of the reasons that this is going to be turned around. And so I want you to welcome from the 7th District of Alabama, the Chief Deputy Whip of the 117th Congress, co-chair of the Voting Rights Task Force of the Congressional Black Caucus, the Honorable Terry Sewell, Alabama 7th District.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. And I want to thank all of you for the consistency of saying how important it is that we restore the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Voting rights, nothing is more fundamental to this democracy than the right to vote. And it's under assault. It's under assault in state legislatures across this country. Over 400 bills were introduced over the summer. And in 39 states, they passed laws that made it harder for us to vote. It's simply unacceptable. We have to fight back because our foremothers and our forefathers fought back. They didn't take it, and we can't take it either. We have to be energized, mobilized, strategized in order to make sure that the Senate passes the John Robert Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. I'm honored every day to carry that piece of legislation. And I've introduced it in every Congress since the Shelby versus Holder decision in 2013. This time I introduced it in August at the foot in my hometown of the Edmund Pettus Bridge. And 1 week later, the House of Representatives passed the John Robert Lewis Voting Rights Act. But it's been sitting on the Senate side, languishing. And we simply can't accept that. They put it up, and all of a sudden, it didn't meet the 60 vote threshold in order for a debate around voting rights to even take place on the Senate floor. What kind of rule is that? We have to demand that our senators do something about it. The filibuster should never stand in the way of true progress. I have to say, we need to approach the senators and say, Senator, do you want a filibuster or do you want to make sure that this democracy survives? The filibuster, or do we want to equal access to the ballot box? I don't know about you all, but I choose the latter. We want to make sure that we're doing everything in our power to fully restore the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which was gutted by this Supreme Court. This Supreme Court in 2013 decided that Congress was penalizing southern states for no reason. Well, we know that is not true. They said that the formula that determined which states would have to pre-clear their laws was archaic and old. So guess what? H.R. 4, the John Robert Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, comes up with a modern day formula, because we know that modern day voter suppression is no less pernicious than what happened in the 60s and 50s and before. We don't have a poll tax anymore. We don't. We don't have to count how many marbles are in a jar. But modern day voter suppression, not being able to go and vote and receive water while you wait in line, unacceptable. Unacceptable. I mean, in North Dakota, you can't even register to vote unless you have a physical address. And we should not be surprised that our Native Americans live on reservations and have what? P.O. boxes. So it's not just our fight as African Americans. It's all of our fight. Because if one person is denied the right to vote who has the right to vote, it is a threat to our democracy. And we will not accept it. So I want to thank Melanie. Thank you so much for always organizing. And for us to be right here in this Supreme Court, we must remind not only the senators that they have a job to do, but we must remind the courts and these justices that they have a right to do. They have work to do. And so I just know that change rarely comes in the halls of Congress without a demand. It bubbles up because of grassroots activism. What you all are doing right now, it is so important. So I want us all to remember to vote, volunteer, organize, turn out, and elect members of Congress and senators who will do the right thing. So vote, volunteer, organize, turn out, and elect officials that will do the right thing. So I want to thank you all, and I just want to implore all of you to continue this fight. Because we know that with agitation comes progress. So continue this fight and fighting for all of us. Thank you again. And let's make sure that the Senate reforms the filibuster, gets another rule, whatever they need to do. But we know that voting rights is fundamental. It was John Lewis who said that the vote was sacred. It was precious. That's what he would say.
That's right. That's right.
And he also said that the vote is the most effective, non-violent tool in our democracy. So let us get into some good trouble and keep up the fight.
Congresswoman, oh, I love that red. Thank you. Can we give Congresswoman Terry Sewell? I mean, my sister, she smiles, but she is a powerhouse, and she is fighting the fight along with her colleagues to make sure we get this across the finish line. So let's give her another thank you, and thank you for continuing the fight. Next, we're going to hear from Labor, the House of Labor. Can we say Labor? Workers' rights. Workers' rights. Are what? Human rights, as far as I'm concerned. Workers' rights are human rights. So we're going to hear from our sister Cleola Brown, National President of A. Philip Randolph Institute. She's also Director of Civil, Human, and Women's Rights for the AFL-CIO, along with our sister Joy Barnes, home care worker, SEIU, Virginia 512. We're going to lift up who's in the house. I know SEIU in the house.
Yeah.
Who else in the house?
Labor's in the house.
All right. So coming up, and I know he's not going to speak, but we're going to give our brother a thank you so very much. Jerry Hudson, Secretary Treasurer, SEIU, Cleola, take it over.
Hello, everybody. Y'all don't feel no cold out here, do you? All you can feel is the warm in your heart and the anger in your belly, I hope. That anger in the belly is what's going to make these folks take a time. Not the time, but take a time to understand that waiting on voting rights is not kosher. We are in a season looking towards the holiday. We want to celebrate what is already ours, not what we want them to give us. It is ours already. And we're not going anywhere until they recognize that we're not backing up. Now, John Lewis, as the Congresswoman said before, gave the eternal gift, the ultimate gift. He gave his life walking, marching, teaching, preaching. I mean, the brother even preached to the chickens, if you ever read his book, about what democracy really means. And if voting rights is not in the mix of what we do, our freedom is certainly at jeopardy. People look and say they don't understand why we keep marching. We march because we must. Randolph did not say that freedom was given. He said it was enacted. And that's why women, black women, and our allies and brothers are out here always on the regular talking about the enactment of freedom, talking about the rights of justice, talking about why it is that that vote is not something that they're going to steal from us, not with our eyes open and not on our watch. This is why we struggle. This is why we march. This is why we pray. But it is certainly why we fight. We will fight until hell freezes over, as was said this morning. And then we're going to put on them skates, those ice skates, and skate across it and demand it again. It's time for the wait to be over. It is time now for us to get those things that are ours. And because of sisters like Melanie Campbell, who does not get tired, she gets sick, but she does not get sick and tired to the point where she stops marching. We say to all of you that continue to come, God is looking at what we're doing. He's also looking at those rotten scoundrels. Slow down. Lord, don't let me cuss today. Woo. That won't do the right thing. And we will remind them every step that we take that justice is ours. It is not theirs to give, but it is the peace that has to be enacted. It is time now for that enactment to happen. God bless you all. Don't get tired. Don't get weary. Keep on marching, children. It's in our blood.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Joy Barnes. I'm a proud mother, a grandmother, a member of SEIU Virginia 512, a home care worker. I've been providing essential care for senior people with disabilities for more than 30 years. Home care workers play an important role in our country. We are medical professionals on the front line of the COVID pandemic. Many of our patients would not get the diagnosis of illness if we didn't tell the nurse or the doctor about their symptoms. We are here to advocate for our nation's most valuable citizens. Many people wouldn't get the service they need if they didn't have home care workers speaking for them. In spite of taking care of this country for generations, I still feel like home care workers are the forgotten workforce, because our care workforce is 86% women and 63% people of color. I'm here today to tell Congress home care workers will no longer be forgotten. I am a black woman voter and an essential home care worker. My vote and my voice count. With SEIU family, we are demanding that lawmakers on both sides of the aisle respect us. That means passing the John Lewis Voting Rights Advocate Act, Freedom to Vote Act, and D.C. statehood. These bills will make it easier for us to vote no matter what state we live in. Right now, there are too many Republican lawmakers around the country trying to pass anti-voting bills and silence women like me. That's not right. When we don't have a voice, you feel like you have to take whatever. That's how I used to feel until I joined the union. Now, I have a voice. Together with my union family, we are electing leaders that stand with working families and winning benefits like paid sick leave. Together, President Biden and the home care champion of the Capitol, we are also on the verge of passing the Build Back Better Act, which will uplift millions of home care workers and families. With so many good things on the horizon, we can't let the lawmakers in the state of Georgia take us 2 steps back. Okay, I forgot where I was at. Home care workers do not need another setback and silence, oppress, or exclude us from the national recovery. It's time to move forward. Congress, today we are making a change, but you gotta give us a chance that if voting rights are under attack, we can't do anything done. We can't get anything done. And that's why we are demanding respect for who we are and protect our democracy. We must pass the VRAA Freedom Vote Act and DC statehood. Thank you so much.
Joy. Can we say joy? All right, say joy. Thank you, Joy. Thank you for your leadership, my sister. And now we have another sister who's been in there fighting the fight, who's been on the battlefield for a long time. It's our Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee from the great state of Texas, 18th District. She's senior member House Committee on the Judiciary and Homeland Security, co-chair of CBC Justice Reform Task Force. She's been on H.R. 40, running the, what is H.R. 40? Reparations, and so much more. Thank you, Congresswoman. We know y'all in the middle of votes, so thank you, and we bring you right up to bring out your remarks. Thank you.
Thank you all so very much. Let me start off with a few props, and that is this a prop, but it has a reason. It's cold out here. It's cold out here. Let me just do this. The pandemic is still going on, but let me just do this for a moment. I have the prop on because I want everyone who may see this visually to let you know that it is cold out here. It's in the 20s out here. And these women and their bodies are out here because they believe they can't wait any longer. It is cold out here. I just left the Judiciary Committee room. I told my honored sister, Melanie, I was going to try and make it. What I will say to you is, in spite of the Department of Justice decision that they really struggled to not have to make, we passed again the Emmett Till anti-lynching bill. Can you imagine that we have to make that journey again because the Senate couldn't pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act? So let me tell you where we are. Let me put an array of circumstances. I'm going to talk about the mother that is now struggling to make ends meet, no child care, no 3 to 4 year olds, getting on a bus at 4 in the morning, dropping children off at school, trying to find somewhere for the 3-year-old because Build Back Better has not been passed. That's where we are right now. Oh, how does she know that? Because I've watched a mother get off a bus in front of an elementary school. I've watched a mother then get back on the bus to get to her job. Where we are now is that thousands of women stood up here and because votes count, had to be able to defend colored women, white women, multicultural women, women of all backgrounds and gender, had to say, this is my body, this is my privacy, I'm under the 9th Amendment. They had to stand here because elections count. People are being stalked in Texas on an ill-fated bill talking about, I can get $10,000 to interfere with your health rights because elections count. Election officers who were fair in 2020, who just simply wanted to count the vote, are being purged across America because elections count. Sheila Jackson Lee was thrown into a district with her fellow brother. Never in the history did the Barbara Jordan district be able to be subject to such scissors and surgery and implosion. My house was gone. The district was gone because elections count. And so as we stand here and talk about D.C. statehood, elections count. I've been on that bill from the entire time that I've come to the United States Congress with Ellen Holmes Norton. But all of you, you are America too. You have shed blood on America's faraway shores as members of the United States military. DC, you count. You are America too. And I did have this mass. I know we've got controversy on that. Instead of black folk running toward vaccinations, they're listening to social media because elections count. And folk have the power to get on social media. They even have the power to set up a whole new station that y'all going to be running to. Don't even know what station it is. Trump station, y'all going to be turned on and say, oh, this looks good. And who knows what poison will be leading us into the street and pulling our hair out and beating each other up. Elections count. This is a serious moment in our time. So I came here today to say that all of this circles around one's faith, because I know there's some faith folk here, some union folk here. But faith without works is dead. Oh, I can't hear anybody in here. Faith without works is dead. So I wanted to come here, Black Women Roundtable and allies and others, to be able to say it's cold out here, but the warmth of our blood runs strong. Our DNA will not be determined by those who want to undermine us. Our sisterhood goes beyond racial divide, region, faith, or any other barrier that they want to keep us. We are with our brothers. We stand. And so as we begin to try to save the nation, with the Democrats who have found a way to lift the debt ceiling, waiting on the other actions. And let me say that we have an outstanding majority leader. We just have a close margin. And we absolutely need the power of 22. But everybody knows that if we don't go out with some bag of goodies beyond the holidays, if we can't put police reform on the table, H.R. 40, the Commission to Study and Develop Reparations, the Freedom to Vote Act, tell them that we are going near D.C. statehood, if we can't tell them that we have passed the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, then that's why we're here in the cold. That's why we will continue direct action into 2022 as we are given the blessings of another new year. We must engage in the understanding that the quietness of tranquility and calmness, and it'll be another day, and I'll see you next week, and I'm going into another meeting. It just can't be. Remember I said peaceful. We have all engaged in peacefulness, but our spirit has been roughed up. Redistricting is going around the nation, and they're using the tools to make sure they can eliminate voices that they could not eliminate through the election box. As the January 6th committee proceeds, one more person will now be going into the contempt proceedings, but yet a Trump judge did not see an urgency, said, I'm going for some tea, I'm going on vacation, I'm sitting back on my front porch, and I'm going to my back porch. I think I'll put Steve Bannon's trial in July. Is it in July? And then I'll move it again to the next year, 2023. We can't wait. When we were debating the Emmett Till bill, we had a very fine remembrance that on that day, on January 6th, my sisters, they took to putting a noose. They couldn't find a more uglier symbol of the worst parts of America. So they said, we know whose back we're going to stand on. Let's find some black folk here so we can stand on. And let's scare the heck out of the vice president of the United States by saying we want to noose him. They didn't have a scissors. They didn't have a knife. They didn't have even an AK-47 in terms of the symbol, though they were around. They put the most dastardly symbol they could ever imagine. They wanted to put, sorry about that, whatever brand this is, they wanted to put a noose. They said, we know how we'll get you. We'll put a noose. You want to vote? We'll put a noose. You want justice? We'll put a noose. And I want them to know, as Barbara Jordan and John Lewis are up chatting with Shirley Chisholm, as they're where the angels are, you've got to make another commitment. You've got to come down that aisle. You've got to be able to say, send me. And we've got to continue this process. For those of us who can't go today, we've got to recognize that this policy of nonviolence as relates to disobedience against unjust laws has been proven to wake people up. And so all I can say to you, I came today because I want people to know it's cold out here. And that we have put our bodies here for you to understand how cold it is. We can't afford to lose these elections. We can't afford to have people sleep. We can't let them be on social media rejecting what their taxpayers and research dollars, including black researchers, have decided for them. That is the vaccine. We cannot let our brothers in South Africa suffer alone. We got to be able to fight to make sure they get the vaccines. And the only way we could do it is we have elections that are fair and people are elected that have the compassion and can stand with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris for the goodness they want to do, because they want to do good. But we've got the obstructions. I end on this note. I gave you the list of things that are occurring, from mothers trying to get on buses, from the need for the debt ceiling to pay our bills, for the understanding to ensure that we have real justice as it relates to our interaction with law enforcement, that we have no false do-gooders like Ahmaud Arbery, thank God for the jury and truth, that we do not have circumstances that are incredulous. In the Kyle Rittenhouse case, I can talk about it because it is after the fact, because I'm a lawyer and on the Judiciary Committee, I put in parameters around myself. But as many of my constituents asked, could he not get a traffic ticket? Could you tell me that 2 dead bodies mean nothing to you, America? I cry for every death. I cry for the poor children in Oakland County, Michigan. I cry for all of them. And so elections count. And I said I was closing, I am. Can you imagine? When I first came to the city council in Houston, I won't go for a 3-hour conversation, but it was considered something out of the ordinary to the extent that it could be made a mockery and joke about. 2 of us had made it. One actually lost in a runoff to be the first that city council had ever seen. And they were incredulous that black women were sitting on the Houston City Council, a southern city. And we endured kinds of words. But it was an era that people would use words and folk wouldn't move about. But isn't it shameful that I have to stand alongside a sister who happens to be Muslim, who has become the butt of unnecessary intimidation and vile words? What have we come to in this place? Make it very clear, when people raise up their words, violence can come about. Someone innocent can be walking down the street and they can be reflecting a certain faith. And someone says, I've been given permission. Somebody in the United States Congress said, you got a green light. That's why our bodies are out here today. Because elections count. Because we will not go one more moment in this year and into the next year where we can ensure fair elections. John Lewis must pass. His spirit is calling on us. The freedom to vote speaks for itself. Spirits are calling on us. Statehood speaking for itself. H.R. 40, the Commission to Study and Develop Reparation Proposal, speaking for itself. Build Back Better, speaking for itself. Debt relief, speaking for itself. And so, my sisters, I leave you with the idea that what you do today is giving a chance for the ancestors to be dancing and celebrating, and then to be given a chance for this America to have her second chance. The skies are cloudy. She may be crying. But I am committed to saying that because you are standing here on this hallowed ground that was the place of justice, you will make it that again. And you will turn this country not for single issue people, but you'll turn this country to a country that is my country, 'tis of thee. Oh, sweet land of liberty. You'll turn it to we are America. We'll have our soldiers on faraway places with their families, not on food stamps. They'll be standing up with their uniforms saying, God bless America. because you stood on these grounds and said, we can't wait. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty. God bless you all. Thank you for direct action. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much. Always. Thank you, Melanie.
Another round of applause, please, for Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. Been on the battlefield, but no ways tired. Thank you for your leadership around reparations, for your leadership around voting rights. It all matters. The great state of Texas would not be what it is if it were not for the great Sheila Jackson Lee. Now, we've already had one joy, but we've got more joy for you this afternoon. She is Executive Director, Senior Vice President, Policy and Advocacy for the National Urban League, none other than Joy Cheney. Please welcome her as she comes.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
It's on now. Janice, I want to thank you so much to the National Council of Negro Women, and I also want to thank Melanie Campbell, who is our leader. And if you saw that wonderful meeting we had earlier this week with Black women and the Vice President, you know just how much she is our leader and has led us through what was once hot and is now cold. When we first started over there, we were sweating, and now we are shivering. But it's all worth it because we still have to be out here because Congress, and specifically the Senate, has not allowed freedom to ring in the United States. They have not made good on their promise to protect the right to vote. You know, today we've been talking, there are many of us out here, and many of the folks out here look like me. There are some who do not, and we're so glad for all of the folks who are out here today. But I want to talk to those who are at home, who may not see voting rights as their fight. Because voting rights is absolutely their fight. People of color are being targeted. And they are trying to diminish our right to vote. But when we vote, you win. When we vote, you win. The reason we're talking about paid leave is because we voted. The reason we're talking about affordable child care is because we voted. The reason we're building bridges and roads and having jobs is because we voted. But now they're trying to make it such that we can't vote. And what that means is the next time you need something, you may not be able to get it because we will try to vote, but they will try to get in our way. We're going to do everything we can to make it not happen, but we need your voice. Martin Luther King said that a leader is not someone who's a searcher of consensus, but a molder of consensus. A lot of our members of Congress are searching for consensus, but that's not true leadership. Now is the time we need you to mold consensus. Have your family conversations, whatever it is that you call it. But we need moderates to be out there for voting rights. They should be with us. Sheila Jackson Lee was here. Where are you? Where are you? If you say you vote and you care about the Freedom to Vote Act, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, then you must be willing to end the filibuster. End the filibuster. When? Now. When? Now. When? Now. Because if you won't do that, if you won't create a pathway to passing the Freedom to Vote Act, a pathway to passing the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, then you don't really care about voting rights. And we're done pretending like the opposite is true. There is no cover anymore. The fig leaf has been removed. We need you to mold consensus. Talk to your fellow senators. Talk to them. Now's the time. And within your families. We just finished Thanksgiving. And now we're going into Christmas. And I really hope that we have passed these voting rights bills by then. I hope that at least we've had a change in the filibuster. But if not, I want to encourage you to turn to if you're our friends, if you believe in voting rights, we need you to get some skin in the game. You're our white colleagues, white ladies, white men who are going to benefit from an infrastructure package, who are going to benefit from a paid leave bill, who are going to benefit from affordable child care, who are going to benefit from equal pay, who are going to benefit from a child tax credit. Did you get a child tax credit check? Thank you, black women. Thank you, black women. Thank you, black women. Then at Christmas, we need you to say, hey, voting rights is essential. And everybody who gets the potatoes, the pumpkin pie, whatever it is that you serve, we need voting rights. We need voting rights for us. We need voting rights for black women. We need voting rights for every American. And whatever needs to be done to ensure that it happens, we're willing to go there. We're willing to do it. And then you have to make a call. And so with that, I want to just end with this. Voting rights equals economic justice. Voting rights equals reproductive justice. Voting rights equals American justice. Thank you.
Thank you, Joy. Thank you, Ebony. Ebony, I know she had to leave, I think. But we're going to lift Ebony Riley again from, she just got a new position, Senior Vice President, Policy and Strategic Partnerships, National Action Network. So now we move to our Black Youth Vote leaders to come, and that's Acacia Newsom, who is the project assistant for Black Women's Roundtable and Black Youth Vote, and Daryl Coles, Black Youth Vote program assistant. Come on up, Daryl and Acacia. Following them, we will hear from Ariel Singleton, lead organizer, Georgia Stand Up, and state coordinator, Georgia Black Youth Vote. And then we'll hear from some of our state partners, and then we have a couple of more national partners, and we're done for, okay? We're almost there. So Acacia and Daryl.
Thank you, Melanie. My name is Acacia Newsom, and I am the project assistant for Black Women's Roundtable. We have been on this same block, whether it was in front of the United Methodist Building or the Supreme Court, fighting for voting rights for 6 months now. We now have added Build Back Better to our fight. What we know now is that we cannot build back better without black women and without women of color. Right now, we need to make sure that there's paid leave because black women and women of color, I'm sorry, y'all, I'm cold. But I'll start over. But we need to make sure that there's paid leave because black women and women of color often take care of others, but can't afford to take care of their own. They want us to be tired, but we're not tired. Because Ella Baker once said, we who believe in freedom cannot rest, and we will not rest until voting rights and Build Back Better is passed.
Hello, I'm testing. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Daryl Coles, project assistant for Black Youth Vote here at the national office, and I'd like to just start by saying it's good to see all the beautiful, familiar faces and all the new faces as well. And as many as you know, because we've all been out here, we've been out here 90 degrees weather, and now where it feels like 20 degrees weather. We all come from different backgrounds, but we all here fighting for the same issue today, voting rights and economic justice. Fighting to make sure we have access to the polls, fighting to make sure jobs are available in this community, passing voting rights bills and Build Back Better. It's not a single party priority, but a priority for all Americans. This is a season for giving. Well, the Senate need to pass the Build Back Better and Voting Rights Act now to really stimulate this community in this country. I'd like to just say thank you all for being out here and just continue the good fight. Thank you. Blessings to all my brothers and sisters.
And here we go again. Bing bong, we here again. All right, we here again. I'm going to try to not repeat everything that is being said, but we know what's going on. As you know, we're in the season of giving. We're in the season of joy and cheer. But yet, I'm out here marching, and I don't know if it should be joyous and cheerful because there's something I need done. You know, let me bring it down to elementary school. I got my Sora teacher here with me. We got naughty and nice lists. I can tell you who on the naughty list. But I can tell you what you need to do to be on the nice list. There's a Build Back Better Act. There's H.R. 4. And you have the Freedom to Vote Act. All of these things is what's going to happen, what needs to happen to be put on the nice list. And right now, it looks like that naughty list is going to extend past Christmas if you don't get these things passed within the next 2 weeks. So, while we're up here fighting, I would say that I'm tired. I'm not tired. But there was once a great woman that says, I'm tired of being sick and tired. I'm tired of being sick and tired. I'm tired of being sick and tired. I really am. But what I'm not tired of doing is fighting for what's right. I'm not tired of sitting here marching. If it takes us to have to do this every single week, every month, and then sit here and strategize and organize and mobilize like we do, we're going to do it until victory is won. Y'all, I'm going to be short, so I'm going to just give it on next. But let's know that we need Build Back Better. We need the Freedom to Vote Act, and we need H.R. 4. Pass it now. In that filibuster. Stop being weird.
Black youth vote. Black youth what? Black youth what? Thank you, Black Youth Vote. All of our leaders, our young leaders, you give us the strength to keep going on. Next, we will hear from our sister Deborah Scott, CEO, Georgia Stand Up, and our state partner for the National Coalition for Black Women's Roundtable, Black Youth Vote and Unity, Tamika Ramsey, convener, Black Women's Roundtable, Eastern Michigan, Metro Detroit, and convenes our Michigan Coalition on Black Civic Participation, and many other hats that she wears. So we got the South and the Midwest. Come on up. And then Janice will introduce our last two speakers, and we're done for now.
Georgia. I said, Georgia, where are you? Georgia, where are you? Georgia. So we come from the state of good trouble. I said good trouble. We come from Georgia, the state of good trouble. We've learned from John Lewis that we have to get in good trouble. And we've been getting in good trouble for the last couple of years. And let me say this. Everybody wants to know what's happening in Georgia, right? Georgia elects presidents. Georgia elects senators. Georgia will elect a governor that looks like us one day. All right, so what I want to say right now is Georgia will keep coming up here to Washington, D.C. until Washington, D.C. gets it right. We want our Congress to get it right. I said get it right. Just do it. Just do it right. Just do the right thing. Now, you asked for our vote, and we gave you our vote. We organized, mobilized, and got the vote out. We registered people to vote, and we did it again. And we did it again for the runoff. And here we are. This is not the first time we've been here, and this will not be the last. But let me tell you, there's two kinds of power. It's organized money, and it's organized people. Now, we may not have organized money, but the unions do, and the churches do, and our Divine Nine does. But we do have organized votes. We will continue to organize. We will continue to mobilize. This is an intergenerational movement. So when we die, they got our back. They got next now. So we're here to say we want the Build Back Better Act to pass this year. Don't come knocking on our door next year saying get the vote out and you don't do what you got to do now. That means pass Build Back Better. And then on the same day, honor John Lewis and pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. That's what we want you to do. So when I say stand up, you say vote. Stand up, vote. Stand up, vote. Stand up, vote. Peace and blessings.
Good afternoon.
They always have me going after the hype Georgia people. Tamika from Michigan. We are here with Black women leaders and allies. What I'm going to ask is that our allies become our accomplices. We don't need people calling us when they need something and helping us when they need something. But when we call them, they don't even open the door. They don't answer the phone. They be looking at us like we'll see you when it's election time and you can vote for us again. Why would we? If you are not helping us, why would we? Because that's what we do. Black women are tired. We're tired of saving this country and then continuously have our backs being beat and whipped and being ignored. We are asking for something that our foremothers fought for, that our forefathers died for decades ago, and I'm still here. I have children and grandchildren who will be fighting this same fight. And then you come to me and ask us to do something for you. We are asking. We have asked nicely for a long time. The next generation that's coming up, they don't have the patience. They shouldn't have the patience. We are asking for what is rightfully ours. So we are asking our allies to become our accomplices. We are asking you to be uncomfortable. We are asking you to fight for us because we have not only fought for you, we have taken care of you. We have built this country for you. And all we are asking is for what is rightfully ours. We should not have to come and ask to vote when you knock on our doors and say, vote for me. And then when you get into office, you act like you don't know us. I know you. I know your name. I know where your office is. And I know how to get your ass out of office if that's what we need to do. We got you there. We'll bring you back. Every time, we will bring you back. Like snatch you back, right back. And put somebody in that office that is not only going to answer the phone, but will bring us in the room to the table. So we are asking for the last time nicely, right? Because next time, if we here in January, I'm just going to have bail money, okay? In January, we gonna demand that we have voting rights. We are going to demand that we are allowed to be able to vote. Remove the filibuster. Pass the John Lewis Advancement Voting Rights Act. Pass Build Back Better so that people in this country can live and be in a good way, not only for this year or next year, but for centuries to come. Thank you.
I want to thank you for that rousing speech. You really inspire us to reach the higher heights. And now we've got our final two speakers for the afternoon. Jennifer Tucker is Senior Policy Advisor for the ERA Coalition. In case you've forgotten, that's the Equal Rights Amendment Coalition. And Kate Ziegler, Co-Director of Organizing for Repairers of the Breach. And before I leave the podium, I again want to thank Dr. Janetta Cole and all of the executive committee and board members. I saw one of my board members here, Ms. Sandra Gibson, who leads our Anti-Human Trafficking Committee. And my soror from Georgia came all the way up to stand in solidarity with me, Audrey Benz. We thank you for that. And now we will hear from Jennifer Tucker, Senior Policy Advisor, ERA Coalition, and Kate Ziegler, Co-Director of Organizing Repairers of the Breach.
All right, ladies. All right. Thank you, and greetings. Thank you, Janice. Thank you, Melanie, for doing what you do. Okay, can you hear me now? Yeah. All right. Greetings from the ERA Coalition. Again, my name is Jennifer Tucker, and I'm here representing millions of women and men who are working every day for the Equal Rights Amendment to become the 28th Amendment to the Constitution. And the good news is we're almost there. Now that Virginia became the 38th state to ratify the Equal Rights Amendment on January 28th, 2020. So remember this date, January 27th. I said 28th, but it's 27th. Today, I'm here because voting rights and economic justice for black, brown people of our nation is directly linked to the ERA and what it stands for. Simply put, the Equal Rights Amendment states that equality of rights under law shall not be denied because of sex. I call on the Senate to do its job and pass the legislation that's piling up at the desk, which is equivalent to its front door. I call on the Senate to invest in the people of this nation. I call on the Senate to walk the freedom walk and pass voting rights legislation. I call on the Senate to join us on this freedom walk and build an America that provides wages where women and their families can dream of a better life, and Build Back Better does that. I call on the Senate to pass Build Back Better. Finally, I call on the Senate to take the Freedom Walk and pass SJ Resolution 1 that removes a century of barriers for assuring that no one is discriminated against because of their sex. Women and men are protected under the Constitution. I thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Kate Ziegler. I'm the National Co-Director of Organizing for Repairers of the Breach and the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival. It is my honor to be with you on this Freedom Walk and speak out today, speaking on behalf of Reverend Dr. William J. Barber II, President and Senior Lecturer of Repairers of the Breach and the National Co-Chair of the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival. As you've heard today, we all understand that our democracy is at stake, and poor and low-wage folks are dying every day from poverty, systemic racism, ecological devastation, and the war economy. It's no surprise that we have been fighting across this movement tooth and nail to get our voting rights, and then the House passed a $700+ billion military bill. Our voting rights are under attack because the people in power who are enacting policy violence against us understand the enormous power of our vote and exactly understand how voting rights is connected to economic justice. This is not about left versus right, but it's about right versus wrong. We must stand up and fight back and make sure that everyone in Congress hears us, that we must end this coward's filibuster. We must pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. We must fully restore the 1965 voting rights. And we must also have living wages now. And we call on Congress to pass the Build Back Better Act and to get it done in 2021. The Build Back Better Act is an important first step, a first step towards implementing good and moral social policy that we need in this country. I'd like to also lastly invite everyone here to join Reverend Barber and the Poor People's Campaign this Monday, the 13th at noon at Union Square in front of the Capitol Reflecting Pool. We will be having a Poor People's Campaign Moral Monday March on Washington to continue the fight that we are here today. Hundreds of impacted state leaders and faith leaders and partners from across the country and our 40 state campaigns will be holding a mass nonviolent moral direct action to push Congress to get it done in 21. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Jennifer Tucker. Kate Ziegler, thank you also very much. And we know it was a really, really last-minute turnaround. We appreciate you able to be here with us today. My sister Janice, do you have any closing remarks? We have been joined by, what's your name, young man?
Jeremiah
Dante
Campbell.
All right. So Jeremiah decided he'd come right, and he wanted to close us out with us today. So thank you, Jeremiah. Janice and Sister Janice, you have any closing remarks?
Nothing further.
Well, thank you. Thank you so very much. I want to thank all of our team, Josh, Tanya, everybody wave your hand. Angelo, I'll get in trouble because I'm calling names without, and Daryl, Acacia, the whole team, Jocelyn, D, Michelle, everybody. Thank you, all of our partners. Thank you all. We're going to keep fighting. We'll be out here. Some of us will be out here with you all on Monday. More Monday. I got my holiday. Right? Close this thing out. But the fight is not tied to holidays. The fight is tied to having these leaders do the right thing. And as we go into this holidays and continue this holiday season, I end like I started. Don't be a Grinch. Right? Our young people are watching. Jeremiah came out of school. We had another little young sister who I don't know where she is now. What's your baby's name? Israel. And she's how old? 8. We had an 8-year-old come down here from Georgia, came up here from Georgia. Jeremiah 10. That's why we're here. That's why we're doing this. Our ancestors, predecessors took care of us so we could have this right, this precious right. So this generation, across generations, quite frankly, across race, across gender, we're going to keep fighting until we win. So when we fight, so we ask you all to thank you. Follow blackwomentake.action.org. We will continue this fight. Congress, senators, do the right thing. Carve it out. Take care of it, just like you're taking care of probably the debt ceiling as we speak. Do the right thing. The people are watching, and we will not forget. We need the John Lewis Voting Rights Restoration Act. We need the Freedom to Vote Act, D.C. statehood, and Build Back Better, and don't take out paid family leave. Take care of the people. Thank you. God bless you. Take care for all those who've been supporting us, all of our partners. You know who you are, and we will keep the fight. And we will fight. When we fight, we win. Thank you. God bless you.
Before you knew me. Yes, honey. Are you far away? Let me get that. Thank you. That's because you're a rebel rather to your heart, too. But look, the part that I missed, I used to walk in that doggone building. You used to go to their office. For real? And you can't do that now because of what happened on January the 6th. Yeah. You can't just walk up in there like no more. There the car is, so we can jump in the car. Audrey! He went to take a picture. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Take the picture. Yeah. 12 minutes. Go ahead. Backside. Hey, we get it. Get it.
I get the blue and choose. I got